What is going on, ScalpX Legends? Hopefully you're having a great weekend. Let's dive into these charts and start slicing it up. Now, hopefully you guys caught some of that pump. I'll keep reiterating this. Inside of our trading tournament, we have been discussing potential targets, and 2455 has been one of those that we've been eyeballing for the last couple of days. As a matter of fact, we pinpointed that it was going to hit 2455 by the end of the day. That's not a point to impress you, but more so impress upon. Take advantage of that channel. It's 100% free and you get real-time signals inside there. So I want to share with you guys as far as my ideas, where we're going, where we could potentially be heading towards. Obviously we have some type of pump, but is this pump really real? Is it going to sustain? Well, one thing I'm paying attention to is going to be volume. As we can see right over here, volume has to increase, right? Volume has to have an incredible surge on higher time frames. On lower time frames, we are bullish, at least up to a 4 hour, and beyond a 4 hour, up to roughly, I'd say a daily, we're getting into bullish neutral territory. And then beyond a daily into a weekly and even a monthly, we're still in bearish territory. As a matter of fact, let's take a look at this weekly right over here. We can see that volume is still flat, nothing really to write home to mom about. And if we look at our indicators, and we can see that there's the ADX is still above our baseline, which means we still have bearish momentum strength that is still prevalent inside of this market. So what has ETH been notorious for since we've had any type of pump? I'd say, shoot, since we've topped out here in this area right around in May 27th, every single pump we've had, it has been retraced. Every single pump we've had, it's been retraced. So what's to say that this pump can't be retraced? Well, that's kind of I'm looking at right now. And in order to identify that, I'm looking at lower time frames. I'm actually going down to a 144. I'm gonna go ahead and take this volume off just so it's out of the way for us. And what I'm looking at from an Elliott Wave perspective is I'm looking at this as this was a wave one, and we have corrections that can come down to these levels. You know, anything that's above 0.5, I'm going to consider that to be bullish. This would be essentially be a flat correction. If we come up to the 0.5 level, you know, above 0.5 is going to be considered bullish. So I'm looking at that area to be tested first. Now, that's not to say that we can't have deeper corrections, and that kind of would make sense when I'm looking at higher time frames and comparing down to lower, and just based on the nature of what I discussed before, that every single pump has been retraced. So 2185, 2193, that's been an area that I've been discussing inside of the tournament. I feel like that level can still be tapped into, and we still remain inside of a bullish territory. Let's go back to a weekly just so you can get a better visual of that, right? And let's just zoom in on this, right? If we catch a wick down into these zones, into these areas, then this trend line right over here, this long-term support, this aqua trend line right here, is just essentially going to be tapped into. So that leaves that 2193, 2185, 2221, somewhere in that ballpark range for us to be tapping into and still remain inside of bullish territory. As of right now, majority of us inside of the tournament have been shorting from this zone right over here, 2455. That's not to say that we can't catch a scam wick, using quotes here, up to the upside, testing this 618 area of 2541, and then having a hard retracement back down. That is still very prevalent. That could very much so happen. But being that it's the weekend, one thing that we are considering, or at least looking at and paying attention to, is going to be volume. Volume has to increase in order for these moves to be authentic. We did have a big move, or at least surge in the sense of volume on lower time frames to the upside, but we can see that it was quickly de-escalated and went into bearish volume. And right now we're essentially just kind of running flat. So not much going on. I wouldn't be looking to long over the weekend. I wouldn't be looking to short here in the weekend. The only short that could possibly have is if we get a spike in volume, and let's say volume is shorter than these previous volume sticks, and we tap back into this 2455, maybe even higher, and who knows, maybe we can catch a scam wick all the way to 2541. These are going to be the areas that I'm going to be looking into shorting. Main reason for that is because, again, I'm referring back to the weekly, still remaining bearish altogether, and until that trend starts to make its shift over, at least there's a dying in strength in that momentum, dying in strength altogether, excuse me, then I wouldn't be considered longing here in these zones. So Keeping it short, keeping it simple for you guys. Essentially, we're looking for 2301, seeing if that's going to provide any type of support. If we lose 2301, we're looking at the 2185s up to 2221 areas for support. If we're looking to short, we're looking at that 2455 up to 2541. I'm hoping this information serves you well. Stay profitable this week. Stay safe. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.